Stella said, my name's Lynda. I have a business called Purple Giraffe, and hopefully I can help you through this section. I noticed that both Amanda and Martin said some of the things that I'm about to say today as well. So like one of the questions before was about repetition. So I guess the best thing to do is to identify what area you're going to be able to highlight that strategy or outcome the best, and then pop it in there. And like Martin said, then refer it to in those other sections and say, refer to the marketing section in this example. And it's not moving for me, Stella, so clearly I am not a good button presser. Well, you make it look easy. So the marketing question you can read up the top there, and like Amanda said, it's about fishing out the components within the question to answer it correctly. So in the marketing section, there's pretty much three areas. One is your target market. And in your target market, it's, whatever you do and anything you do in marketing, not even in the applications, in anything you do in marketing, it's all about your target market. So we're going to spend quite a lot of time on that and identifying who your target market is. Then also having a clear overview, and then your marketing strategies. And within your marketing strategies, it's then evaluating those strategies as well. In this question, the guide, just as we've been saying throughout, is 110 words per point. So that's somewhere between 2,300 or 2,200 words, if your maths is any good, through to 2,500 in marketing. So in this section, in anything marketing, this is where you get a chance to do your bells and whistles and show all your fancy stuff that you do, and all the fun and giggles, I always call it. So I'm in the fun and giggles department. So it's a good idea to use a lot of images, or use really great relevant images. As everyone said before, use tables to explain your outcomes, and we'll go through those in a minute. Use evidence to support all your activities. So we're talking both qualitative and quantitative, using facts. So like Martin said, it's really important to show that you're a business that measures your outcomes. So you don't just do them for fun because that's what you do. You're doing them for a purpose. Equally, it's important to reference your resources. Lots and lots of resources available. Martin said some before, there's some of the same ones here. So, I think the message is coming across how the application is viewed by having reference resources. If you tried something in your marketing and it didn't work, don't be afraid to say that, but say what you learned through that experience. So you could say, we tried this, didn't work, but this is what we'll do differently, or this is what we learned from this experience. So don't be afraid. You don't have to win on everything, but you have to learn from something. Use testimonials and validation, and we'll talk about that in a minute. And also share your story and be passionate about it. Like, seriously, the judges have to read a lot of applications. So the more passion that you can throw through, the more they're going to be engaged in your application, and the more that they're going to probably give you those points. With images. So images are lots of different things. It's not just a pretty picture. It can include maps. It can include infographics. It can include graphs. We've talked about some of these before. If you want to use lots of different images, you can develop a collage or screenshots. So, when you're doing validation and you're showing that somebody has, looked at something online, and you've had all of this, great comments from people online, then you could screenshot that and use that as an image. And of course, you can use photographs. So as Martin was saying before, his table was so much better than mine. In fact, I took a photograph of it because I thought it was really super cool. So, I suggest that you use the format that Martin used, but also look at it within your marketing section. So look at, who your target market was, what the strategy was that you did to engage those people, what the outcomes were. And if you really want to know, you can then put in the other sections that Martin did as well, because his was super cool. So your target market. As I said, we're going to spend a lot of time talking about your target market and identifying who they are and what they do and how you selected them. So firstly, what is a target market? So for those of you who may or may not know, a target market is a selection of individuals that have a similar characteristic that your business wants to engage or wants to sell their services to. So how do you identify who they are? Sometimes the target market will be the person that's purchasing the item and will be the end user. Your target market is always your end user. Sometimes, however, a different person will purchase that, but you still want to target the end user. So don't think about necessarily the person that's going to be buying what you're offering. Think about the person that's going to be using what you're offering. And I'll give you a great example, not in the tourism sector, but if you think about when you go to the supermarket, and at the supermarket, at right where your trolley is, they always have all the lollies. Who are they doing that for? They're certainly not doing it for mum and dad. Exactly. They're doing it for the kids. So they're really, really smart. Kids are there tagging on mum or dad's arm saying, I want a lolly, I want a lolly, and they just grab one. So they're really targeting the consumer right there. So who are your target market? Like I said, who are your customers? Who are the end user? How old are they? Where do they come from? What do they, what do they do? What's important to them? Who are, sorry, I've got my tongues all tied. Who is the target in the future? Sorry, in the future, I'm going to start again. Who are the trends? So if you look at the people that normally purchase your offering, there will be trends. So if you look at, 80% of our consumers fit this type of model, then you can actually identify who your main target market is. And there's lots of statistics that you can find online. So if you're on social media, there's insights in there. You can also look at your own sales data. There's lots of different areas that you can pull that data from. What motivates your consumer? So this is the most important thing, I think, more than age. It's where they are in their life stage. So what motivates people to want to do whatever it is that they, select to do? And it's all around their motivations. So it might be that, you offer a jet ski ride. Now, it's not necessarily always going to be people between 25 and 35 that want to go on jet skis. It could be someone that's 65 that just loves fun. So that's where it comes into what is their motivation. So don't always be hung up on just age and demographics like we're used to. Look at where they are in their life stage. There's a tool if you get stuck on your target market, which will be, it's obviously in this slide, but if you go to the Purple Giraffe resources, you can download this tool. And it's a really great tool that we developed because it basically goes through all the demographic, behavioral, sociographic, geographic, psychographic, all the graphics, and occasional type thinking, and it forces you to think about your target market in a different way. So I encourage you to have a look at that and really be clear about who your target market is, because then all of your marketing decisions are so much easier if you know who they are really intimately. Here's a quick example. So, and you can all read it, but it might be that they're 25 to 44 years, they're parents, they like to experience nature and include parents' fun as well as kids that can enjoy themselves. They focus on food and wine. They're intrastate predominantly, city dwellers who like to escape on weekends, and they're, families with young kids. So that's an example of a type of target market that you could put together. So then we want to talk about how are you meeting that target market's expectations? So you've identified who your target market is. So what is it that you're offering that person to meet their expectations? Identify the market, how it's right for your business, why it's right for your business, and use the data that's available to you to back up your claim. So if you're looking at, say, the Tourism 2030 tourism plan, you might say, well, the 2030 tourism plan says X, Y, and Z, and we've chosen to do, Z and X because they fit within our target market, but it also fits within the marketing of the state. Then when it comes to your marketing strategy, it's really important to have a very clear overview of what your strategy is. And that's where these tables are really, really helpful, because you can go, this is our target market, and you might have more than one target market. You might have a primary and a secondary target market. So you'll go, my primary market is this, and the strategy we've adopted for that market is this. And then our secondary market is this, and the strategy we've adopted for that market is this. So it's really important to provide a clear overview of the innovative approach that you've taken to your marketing to attract the identified target market. And then talk about the channels to market that you use. And what I mean by a channel is, did you use social media? Did you use digital media, which is effectively anything else online other than social media? You know, did you use a public relations approach, paid advertising, or a combination of all of those things? So in marketing terms, we call it an integrated campaign, when you actually have several elements across your marketing mix to target that identified target market. Did that sound a bit jargony? It did, didn't it? I apologize for that. Then you need to actually align your strategies to that target market. So I've talked about this before, but also to the broader market. So the broader marketing strategies. So again, like the example I gave before, if the 2030 tourism strategy identifies X, and you've chosen X and Y because it's aligned with that strategy, super good. Make sure you tell people. So Amanda talked before about COVID-19, and it's really important to have that COVID-19 section. However, within the marketing components, if you had a strategy that you had developed and you then had to change it quickly, then tell people that. Or if you developed a strategy because of COVID-19, and this is our marketing strategy because our consumer changed during this time, then just identify what those changes were. So you want to talk about how you adopted your strategy. What did you keep? What did you throw out? And what is the new normal business for that market? And then, as I said before, you really need to show the results. And there's lots and lots of ways that you can identify results. And they can include the number of inquiries that you got. Did it increase? Hopefully it did. The number of bookings, which is your conversion rate. The media coverage. So if you did a PR campaign or anything like that, then, did you actually get any media coverage? Or did you go into the local guide? So talk about the readership in the local guide. Talk about the social media traffic. So anyone on social media, you can get into, if you've got a business page, you can get into the insights in the back of and look at that and show from this campaign to here, and there's graphs and all those sorts of things that you can identify how your reach was, and how what your interactions and all those sorts of things. And also then look at your website traffic. So there's lots and lots of different ways that you can measure the results of your campaign, and be really, really specific about those sorts of things so that people can see that the campaign was a success. The other thing for results is about social validation. So social validation is super duper important in today's marketing mix. And what that means is people write reviews or testimonies, and they might write them on your social media pages, they might write them on your Google page, but they also might write them on your TripAdvisor or any other booking partners sites. So be cognizant of those and use those as opportunities for testimonies. As I said, social media content, as also if there's word of mouth. So if, say, for instance, the local tourism body is recommending your venue more often than the others, or you notice that a lot of people are coming through and going, oh, that's okay. Sorry. If the local tourism body is recommending your venue, or other people are recommending your venue, then talk about that and say that, we've been recommended by our peers or our other associations. So I don't even take any time, but I feel like I smashed that out really fast. So is there any questions that you might have? Yes. I could repeat it if you like.
In the social validations, what is the best way to include that so that it's not a whole lot of word count in your thing?
Yeah, it's a really good question. So perhaps you could develop a collage of images. Would that be reasonable? Yeah. So if you could get a whole stack and put them all together as a collage, that would work. Any other questions? Yeah. Yeah, the question was, would that be the same with media coverage? So I'd have to refer to Stella on that one, but I think that it would be, but I'm looking at Stella.
So in regards to capturing media coverage, so certainly making a collage, so long as it's, you know, the text is still legible.
Was a list.
Yeah.
It's hard to imagine it if you don't see it.
Probably a good thing to do would be to book interview an award-winning submission.
Yeah.
So I've got an example of that people can make 1 hour appointments in our office to come and view. I do have a copy of it with me here today for anyone that wants to have a look at the end of the session. But if you would like the full hour, you're welcome to come back to the TIC-SA office and make a time to view an example. Is there any other questions in regards to marketing?
Thank you.